Do you feel unproductive and lazy, or do you feel like somebody who's worked to death? Which one should it be, and how do you reconcile those two? If you'd like to know more, tune in and find out, and I'll tell you about my specific experiences.
You are listening to the Prosper Law Podcast. Learn how to reduce stress, have more time, and make more money. Come on in.
I'm Greg McCollum, and I built a 7-figure criminal defense law firm. I formed Prosper Law to show criminal defense law firm owners who are desperate for success how to grow from under $200,000 to $1 million and beyond. All right, one of the things that, I deal with now that I've created my law firm and also started to do other things is that, my entire life, it's like that song, taking care of business, the alarm clock ringing, jumping out of bed, getting ready, going for my run, jumping in the shower, grabbing my kids, taking them to school early in the morning, going to the office, getting on the work treadmill, running from pillar to post, going from here to there, and going back and do it all over again. I mean, that was my life for a long time. And I felt good about myself because guess what? I'm a good person. I work hard. I'm doing the things that a responsible lawyer would do. I'm doing the things a responsible parent would do. I'm doing the things a responsible husband would do. I'm doing the things a responsible child, me being the child of my parents, would do. I'm working hard. I'm doing my best. I'm taking care of everybody. I'm tired at the end of the day. I'm exhausted. I worry all the time. So I felt good. I felt good about myself. That was good. I was productive. Now, there's a little bit of an illusion there about production because many of us do that. We have our to-do list and our checklist. And I remember this, one of the mentors and coaches of mine would say in the seminars that we would attend, our coaching events, he would say, your to-do list is bullshit. And what he was trying to do is to try to make us understand and see that our to-do list was not going to get us where we needed to go. Our to-do list had gotten us to where we were at this point in life. And there's a trap to busyness, and one of the biggest traps is emotionally and mentally. We feel so good. If you're like me, and I think probably most criminal defense lawyers are, most people raised in the United States with this work ethic, or they're the same, is we get value from what we do. Now, it doesn't really matter in terms of how it makes us feel whether what we're doing is changing our life or not. The real progress sometimes get lost in it, and I talk about this a lot about doing tasky things versus doing things that will really change your life. And the tasky things are things that you do them, you feel good about it, you mark it off your list, you go back the next day and do it again. Those things got you where you are right now. Wherever you are in life, it's the product and effect of everything that you've done. And sometimes it seemed like, my former coach was just bragging needlessly because we had these things on the weekends and we would go and travel and learn as much as we could. And it was a great program. And then he would say, I think he said he worked 54 days a year. Okay. Now, I don't think that's completely true. I think he just had to work 54 days a year because those were the days that he was on stage presenting or having events or teaching a workshop or meeting with his team and that sort of thing. Another person I look up to also is Michael Mogill, who owns Chris Video and Chris Lawyer Coaching. and I listen to his podcast, and you should probably check it out. He talks about that at this stage of his company, and I think Chris was probably like a $50 million company. It may be more than that. He said at one point, the only thing I really do anymore are these podcasts. So he does more than that. Okay. He operates and runs this company, but it's a big company and it runs on systems and processes. And so he's not in the weeds like he was before when he had, one video camera and he was shooting videos and he was trying to get business and he was trying to get people to sign up and he was doing all of that. And one of the things that I found out, and this has happened to me probably in the last 5 years, is that I find myself feeling bad or beating myself up because I feel like I'm not being productive. So let's say I get up, I have a cup of coffee, I sit on my screen porch, I think about some things, maybe I work on something, maybe I waste some time. Obviously if we all scroll, but if you scroll and, a passion of mine is like, Clemson football. And so I start reading about that, or I go down the trap of reading about, politics and all of the things that are going on. And then I look at it and it's like, wow, I just wasted, 2 hours. I didn't do something productive. I feel awful. Okay. And I still experience that. I feel unproductive. Now before, when I was a solo with a law practice, with 1.5 employees, I felt pretty good about myself. Now, meanwhile, I'm struggling to make $200,000, $250,000 a year. I'm running all over the place. I'm trying to keep up. And the feeling of trying to keep up, I thought I was doing what I should be doing. I thought I was being what I was supposed to be because I was working hard and I was doing the things that everybody knew, I knew that I should be doing. This is the way I'm going to be successful. It's not true though. It's false. And it's a difficult thing to learn. Now, if I get up and let's say I don't feel good or I'm just not feeling it or I don't feel productive and I don't do anything, then I'm really not unproductive. Now, for my own self-worth, for my own work ethic, I have to do things. If I don't do things for a few days, I start beating myself up. I start feeling bad about myself, and it changes my mindset. So I have to stay in that kind of proactive mindset. I have to, do things. And recently, I just reconfigured my calendar because I went from a life of my calendar was set and I had deadlines and I had places I had to be. I had people I had to meet with. I had all these meetings. I had all this court. I had all these things I had to do. I was building this law firm to a 7-figure law firm. So, I was swamped and I was doing all these things. So I felt good about myself. But I also felt really good about myself when I wasn't doing those things. I was just busy for the sake of being busy. Now, if I get up and I'm not motivated and I'm not working on the things because I'm self-directed. Now, I just went in and created my calendar. And this is something that is helpful for somebody that is in the situation I'm in. For the situation that you're in, it's probably not that useful. But once you don't have to go to work anymore, then this is something that we could talk about, and I could show you how to start correcting that. Because let's say that I get up and I don't feel like doing anything. Let's say that I get up and I just blow it off and say, I'm not going to read any emails. I'm not going to text anybody back. I'm not going to call anybody. I'm not going to do anything. Then how productive am I? Well, if you look at it, I own a law firm called Complete Legal Defense Team. And so if I get up and I do nothing, even though it will make me feel bad about myself, here's what's going to happen on a typical day. My sales team is going to be getting calls, after hours, early in the morning. They're getting those calls, and I see their responses because we have a system where I can see how we're all communicating. I see the potential new client call come in. It's got a little set of facts there and their situation. Then I see a group text where one of my people is saying, I'm going to call them back. They call them back. And sometimes they report like, yeah, they're going to retain us, or they want to meet in the office today. Then every day at 8:45, now keep in mind, I'm not there. My team has what's called the morning huddle or the morning stand-up. And they do this Monday through Friday. They're there in the office. Now, sometimes a lot of them aren't in the office because a lot of the work we do is not in the office anymore, and that's changed. So maybe my lawyers are waiting to walk in the courthouse, or maybe one of my paralegals is at the courthouse because they're having a roll call or something like that. But everybody who's not in court or unable to do that, they're on the call. And what do we do on the call? We go through the calendar. Every morning we go through the calendar. We go through the calendar that day, and we go through the calendar for that week and then take a peek at the next week. Why do we do that? Because our life, our reason for existence, our whole business surrounds court appearances. As a criminal defense lawyer, with a lot of cases, that's our life, is court appearances. So they're doing that morning huddle. Everybody's making sure they've got what they need, making sure they're going to be where they need to be, making sure the client knows to be there or not be there. Then what else is going on? Our lawyers are attending bond hearings. My paralegals and intake people are opening new cases. They're taking payments. They're answering client calls. They're taking we call them potential new clients. They're taking potential new client calls. The person in charge of social media is handling social media. The bookkeeper and office manager is paying the bills and balancing the accounts and creating reports for me. And that's it. That's going on. So this is me being unproductive. So if I just blow it off, if I decide, I'm depressed, I don't feel good, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to call anybody, I cancel all my appointments for that week. Excuse me. I'm scheduled to go in the office. I think 10 and a half hours a week. I'm scheduled to go in. Well, if I'm just feeling like I'm, don't want to work, and then I call in, I send an email, I send a text, cancel those meetings, and the meetings are canceled. And guess what happens? Everything keeps running. So even though I may feel like a bad person, I may feel like a loser, I may feel like somebody who should not be successful, all that's happening because that's a law firm. If you've listened to this podcast before, you've heard me talk about a law firm business. And the law firm business is a business that runs without you. It doesn't mean you don't matter. And by the way, I don't do what I'm talking about. If I waste an hour and a half during the morning or something, then I beat myself up over that. I'm not saying that I'm just going to, become somebody who doesn't do what he's supposed to do. I'm not saying that. Well, feel like that sometimes. But I'm talking about how I don't feel productive. And sometimes I have to remind myself, of what I built and the team I built and everybody's ability with job descriptions, policies and procedures, the desire to do well, the desire to meet our goals. And when I go into the office, the people that work with me, they're glad to see me, okay? But they don't really need me, and they don't really miss me when I'm not there because we have systems and abilities to handle issues without everything going through me. They know what to do. They care about our clients. They care about themselves. They care about the law firm, and they do all of this without me. Now, going back 10 years or so ago, 10 or 15 years ago, I could never imagine this. I didn't know this was possible. I didn't know how to build it. But it's buildable, it's doable, and I can show you how to do it. Now, I did an earlier podcast, and I was talking about, the difference between when I moved my house recently and I had to move my office recently. Because what had happened was I made a decision to sell my house and move. But for my office, my landlord made a decision for me by informing me that they were not going to renew my lease. Now, I've been in the same building, and I've talked about it on many of these podcasts, the significance of that building to my law firm. And that rug was completely pulled out from under me. I had every reason to think that my lease, I could lease the thing forever. And so anyway, I got notice that, we're not renewing your lease. You got 4 months to find a place and move. And so I was talking about those moves, and it was pointed out to me that the thing that I forgot to mention about those two moves was that as the office was moving, we had what I call a major felony trial starting on Monday. So the week before the move, we're prepping for that trial. The trial's set to begin on Monday. Our move for the office is scheduled to be on Tuesday. And when you think about the move and think about you're disconnecting computers, you're switching Wi-Fi from one place to another, you're packing up everything you have, everything that was in the desk, everything that was in the filing, it's all in boxes. Everything's loaded up. The pens, the paper, the staplers, everything's loaded up. And so we're going to do a trial during that. It sounds like a disaster, right? The other thing that was going on is that one of my lawyers, had announced that he's leaving, that he was leaving to take a job with another law firm. So lawyer's leaving, trial starting on Monday, move the office, which is a big thing for any business, moving your business. Those three things are happening simultaneously. Now, and it was all happening at the same time, okay? So during that time, when I was actually doing the podcast, and it was pointed out to me, the trial, the move, my lawyer leaving. And what was I doing? I was sitting right here recording 2 podcasts. And everything went perfectly. Lawyer leaving, moving the office, and starting a trial. And everything went perfectly. Okay? That's a law firm. That's a law firm business. That's a business that operates with me and without me. Now, they need guidance. I have to make decisions. They have to trust me to make the right decisions for the business that they work in and for their life. They have to know that by staying with my law firm, that their life will improve, that their life will get better, they'll be treated better than anywhere else, they'll get paid probably more than anywhere else, though pay alone is not the single most important thing. So that's me being unproductive. Now, I have the other business, obviously I have the coaching business, I have some other things that I do. So there are other things that I go and do. But that's me, not there being unproductive. Now, having said that, over the last several years, it's still a little bit of an adjustment for me. I'm still adjusting to the life, and I'm still making changes. And for my own sanity, really, I put in calendared events to work on the things that I want to work on, like my coaching company, Prosper at Law, other things in my life that I do. But I do need structure. And so if I don't have that structure, I sit around feeling unproductive. I feel like I'm not a good person. And so I need that structure. If you've listened to some of my other podcasts about the power of calendar and the power of repetitive steps and how that leads to incremental growth, it's important. I'm a firm believer in that. But it's been a little bit of an adjustment mindset-wise, because when I look at it and I think, Greg, you've got to get busy, but getting busy and accomplishing something is two different things. Some of the most successful people in the world in business are not that busy, and I've talked about that some. There are things that matter that if you change those things, it will change your life in a positive way. And there are other things that are just busy. Now, your mindset is important. And so I don't like feeling unproductive. That's not something that I like experiencing. But I have to be careful that I don't just plug in something that's not going to move me forward. I have to be intentional about it. So I spend a lot of time reading. I spend a lot of time thinking. I spend a lot of time where it's just me and no one else. There's no radio on. There's no television on. There's nobody talking to me. I'm not looking at my phone. My phone is in the other room. Sometimes I may be writing something or taking down notes where I'm not doing anything except thinking about how the picture fits together for me to improve my life and for the people that depend on me. So, are you busy? Are you productive? Are the things you're doing making a difference in your life and the lives of those people that depend on you? Do you want to have slow mornings? Do you want to learn how to build a law firm and reach into this world where your life is different and you have the luxury of having slow mornings and maybe feeling unproductive, and then we can laugh about that when you get there. If you'd like to know more, go to prosperatlaw.com, schedule a call. I'll be happy to talk to you about how I can help you change your law practice into a criminal defense law firm business. Hope this was helpful. See you next time.
If you want to know more, go to prosperatlaw.com. We show criminal defense law firm owners how to reduce stress, have more free time, and make more money. Thanks for listening.